It's another day. And today we are going to take the engine out of this 2010 Ford Focus and hopefully leave the transaxle in place. That's my plan anyway. Yeah, I'll probably take the hood off, or at least open it all the way up. What I want to do is get underneath there and take the oil pan off and disconnect the flex plate to the transaxle that way. I had the pan off earlier because it's got a really bad rod knock. And I did a little temporary repair on that just so I can move it in and out of the garage without launching it. But anyway, that's my plan. So stay tuned and we'll show you how, we'll give you some progress updates here as it goes. Alrighty, I got this far. I decided to take the bumper cover off and the radiator and the AC condenser just to have more room in front here to work. Interesting thing that Ford does with their like the quick connect things. These two lines actually for the, I think they're for the transmission cooler. It's the top probably 4 inches of the AC condenser is the tranny cooler. So there's these little metal clips that lock these things in, and then it's just a matter of popping these up and then they slip off. So, and then on the AC, on the condenser anyway, there's a stud that comes out of the condenser and goes through, and there's a nut on here that takes a 13 millimeter wrench. If you do decide to separate the AC, make sure you plug all the holes in the lines just to keep the moisture out of the system. I have a whole drawer full of these little plastic plugs that I used to collect and save. So I just go through those until I find one that fits and plug it in. So I have the fuel line unhooked. I think this is a vapor line here. But yeah, moving on through here. Yep, I got that one plugged up. So yeah, I'll probably take the compressor right off the motor and just wire it over here on the front just to get it out of the way. I mean, it's going to come off eventually with the replacement engine, so which I haven't bought yet. But so we'll keep on plugging away here and bring you back for updates when I have something more to show you. Alrighty, still plugging away on the engine removal. I took the compressor off just to have more room. Trying to get this, see if I can get this lifted up and pushed over to clear the transaxle. I want to take the engine out by itself, but one thing I did find out, I thought I was going to have to take the oil pan off to get to the torque converter bolts, nuts, but I took the starter off and there's a rubber insert right there. And with that, if you can see in here or not, right there's one of the nuts for the flex plate going into the torque converter. So with a 15 millimeter socket on the impact, they'll zip off pretty easy. Just be careful not to drop them down inside. You'll have to get your magnet out and fish it out of there like I just did. So I think there's probably 3 more to go, and we'll keep on plugging away. Nothing really special. It's just taking stuff off and seeing what needs to be separated. I took this mount off. I got a mini floor jack holding the thing up right now, but it's kind of wobbling on the jack. So the other thing was in the back here where the exhaust is. Hang on, I'll get you a light here. Where the exhaust is, I took this upper shield off and I was trying to figure out how to get the exhaust separated, because down there it goes quite a ways. It looks like the manifold and the catalytic converter are one. So I don't know if I'm going to have to unbolt the exhaust manifold or try to fish it out of there. because it kind of tucks behind the firewall. But yeah, we'll keep on going. All right, here's a little more stuff to note. There's this thing on the back of the alternator, and I believe it's like a cooling duct. Fan on the front probably forces the air through the alternator, and this blows it back down to keep it cool. But anyway, it's nearly impossible to get to that nut to hold the cable on without taking that duct off. And it has a release tab on the side. It's actually right here at this hole on the side, so you can use a screwdriver. I just use my clip tool, push that in, and then it slides off the back, and then you can take it right off there and get to that nut. So I got the exhaust manifold bolts, nuts and bolts, nuts and studs. I got those all off, and it's not flopping off there. It's loose, but still might have to take it off the pipe down there. But anyway, it's off the engine. So, and I did use a ratchet strap, hooked it on this lifting lug, and wrapped it around the bumper. Pull that away from the firewall to give me a little more clearance room, a little more room back there to work. Because you know how it is, your arms are getting all barked up from scraping on stuff. So anyway, I'll keep on plugging away and give you an update when I get something to show you. All right, there was 2 bolts up in that, well, I'm going to call it a shield, but the converter attachment to the back of the block. So 10mm socket and a little blast from the impact later. Also, there was not even any kind of a nut on there. I don't know what it was called, but if we could focus, come on, you can do it. Anyway, cleared those off with just an air chisel and tried to push these studs out, but they didn't want to go out. But the pipe did separate, so I basically just popped the hangers off. I've got one of those hanger tools. Everybody should have one of those if you're working on exhaust, because they're a lifesaver. Trying to get those off without this is, yeah, it's a pain. So anyway, I got that off, and I think it looks like this is all loose. There's still something hanging it up, but I'll go up on top and see what that is and keep on going. Success. We successfully removed the engine and left the transaxle intact. It was tight. It's tight right up here. So I did end up taking off the belt tensioner because that was right up against that frame rail. The alternator came off kind of tricky too. I don't know if I mentioned that in the last segment, but I did end up taking one of the studs off because it jams right up against the fuel lines and the heater hoses back there. So good to get that off. Of course, exhaust manifold, they got that wired up out of the way. Yeah. So, yeah, glad it's finally out of there. And didn't leak coolant all over or oil, or made use of my little plastic plugs. Yeah, I did take this mount off to get that thing moved out of the way, but I think I'll snug it back up there just to hold the transaxle in case I want to roll this thing around in the garage here. So, anywho's, there it is. Hope it helped you out. I got it back on the ground. One thing I did notice, and that I did not do, that I probably should have done, is I never unhooked that mount. That's the frame to transaxle. That would allow this to have a little bit more tilt upward. I mean, it came out a little struggly, but it did come out. It would have probably allowed this to pitch up a little bit better. So I'll have to make sure when I put it in, I um, take that bolt out so it can have some more lift. But anyway, that's how I did it. Didn't even have to take off the hood. So hopefully this helped you out. If you thought it was useful, give me a like, subscribe, that'd be great. Could always use a few more of those. And we'll catch you on the next one.